All right, call me the Energizer Bunny. We're just going to keep on and keep on. This is ridiculous. There is nothing under copyright. Woo, what to do, my friends? What to do? That's okay. We have important stuff to do around here. We have important stuff to do. And this is what I really wanted to get to. This is how nasty Richard Allen Davis is. This is how nasty he is. Okay, once the items were found in Dana's yard, they started putting everything together. Then they go back to the fact that he had been on her property and was seen on her property that night. I apologize, guys. I have nothing to do with it. We're going to listen to this a couple of times. There is going to be a trigger warning. Listen to how he addressed the court. Richard Allen Davis, once he was called to the carpet.
To that night. I would also like to state for the record that the main reason I know that I did not attempt any lewd act that night was because of a statement the young girl made to me when walking her up the embankment. Just don't do me like my dad. I have to pay my dues, and so should
Burn
you.
in hell, Davis.
All right, that concludes the statement.
Okay, so we remember when the detective was talking to Richard Allen Davis, and he said he is not going to admit to any lewd act because he said, I will be a dead man. He doesn't mean on the streets of Petaluma or San Francisco or anywhere in Northern California. He meant in jail. So this was his final jab at the family.
To that night. I would also like to state for the record that the main reason I know that I did not attempt any lewd act that night was because of a statement the young girl made to me when walking her up the embankment. Just don't do me like my dad. I have to pay my dues, and so should
Burn
you.
in hell, Davis.
All right, that concludes the statement.
Jacobs, do you have any comments you want to make?
Fucker. Yeah, boy.
Mark Klaas is going to whip his ass. Effer. He was coming after him. The deputies had to take him out and say, we're not doing that here.
Jacobs, do you
I have to pay my dues, and so should
Burn in
you.
hell, Davis.
All right, that concludes the statement.
Jacobs, do you have any comments you want to make?
Fucker. Yeah, boy.
All right, let's proceed.
I hate to say it, but if I was the judge, I think I would have looked the other way and let Mark Klaas have his way with Richard Allen Davis. Again, as I said in the first show and the second show, like Ree said, we're playing musical Christmas chairs here today. He's got another battle on his hands right now because the death penalty is on hold in California, and he doesn't give a rat's ass what LL Cool J or Kim Kardashian have to say about it. He wants justice for Polly. I almost said Holly because I was reading the name. For Polly. He wants it. There was a judge, there was a jury of his peers that says he should not be on planet Earth. He is furious, and he is going to keep on and keep on and keep on until that death penalty, something is changed.
It's a case that changed so many lives for parents and kids, including mine as a girl growing up in Northern California. More than 20 years ago, in 1993, a 12-year-old girl was having a slumber party with her friends in her mother's home. She was kidnapped and killed. Her name was Klaas. Her killer, Richard Allen Davis, is still alive and sitting on death row. And now with executions on hold, he won't be going anywhere. It's hard to really understand the impact unless you're one of the victim's family members. I drove to Sausalito today to meet Polly's father, who's absolutely devastated knowing there's a possibility that monster could live longer than him.
People were really invested in my daughter, and it did last. It went on for 65 days.
It was a case that captivated so many.
I never met Polly before, but she became my child just like she became everybody else's child.
In 1993, 12-year-old Polly Klaas was having a slumber party with her two friends when she was kidnapped.
I find it very hard to recall the details of the time that Polly was missing. I was so freaked out. I mean, I was so afraid.
Later on, a man named Richard Allen Davis would confess to killing her.
That's one thing I could never forget is when they told me that.
In 1996, Davis was sentenced to the death penalty. Today, he's still alive and waiting.
I would like for the last thing for him to see would be my eyes, just like the last thing that my daughter saw.
There's now a twist to that sentence her father thought would happen eventually. He found out when he got called up for a meeting with the governor Tuesday afternoon.
And near the end of the meeting, he said, well, we have to talk about the death penalty. And then he let it be known in no uncertain terms that there would be no executions, at least to the best of his power, during his administration. I died a little bit when I heard that. I became viscerally angry.
The next day, on Wednesday, the governor signed an order on executions. The governor says the death penalty is ineffective, irreversible, and immoral. Mark Klaas sees it as fair.
And I pointed out to him that that means that there's a very good chance that Polly's killer will live longer than me.
More than 20 years has passed since his daughter's killer got a sentence. More than 25 years since he last saw his girl.
She loved her sister. She loved people. She was just a light, the light of my life.
Now he's left feeling blindsided, not knowing if justice may ever be served.
I and every other family member of one of their victims should have the expectation that at some point in time, justice will be served.
It's a case that changes.
You want to be Satan's secretary? Do it on your own time. This is ridiculous. To bring the father to the Capitol to sit with the father who has been fighting for 30 years now. And he, like he said, in no uncertain terms, there's not going to be an execution. He said it's immoral, it's irreversible. Well, like I said, not that they asked me, handle it case by case. Go back through the case before you execute. I'm telling you, we live in an upside down world. All right, in closing for part 3, because YouTube keeps messing with our work we have to do here. Thank you, Criminal Med. She goes, who wants it reversed? Not us. Absolutely nuts. Look what he did to her. Why should we be paying for him? That's crazy.
Child killer loose in St. Louis reminds us that while this is supposed to be a season of joy this week, the joy has been interrupted by madness. Over and over, the ringing of holiday bells has been drowned out by the tolling of church bells. And at a time when many Americans are celebrating the birth of a child, John Blackstone reports on a California town that is mourning the death
Someone's thinking of you and loving you tonight.
The crime statistics alone are painful enough these days, but something about Klaas and the town of Petaluma has made this kidnap and murder more than a statistic.
Sometimes a single event is so shocking and so unsettling that it makes the entire nation tremble.
In the past 2 months, the search for one 12-year-old girl.
I don't know anything about California politics, but this governor that spoke at the funeral, he was all about fast tracking what was done to Polly and getting him off the planet faster.
Past 2 months, the search for one 12-year-old girl in one small town has come to represent a whole nation's fears about random crime.
It was just bodies all over. Guys were shot in the head.
It began to seem this week there is no safe place anymore. Commuters heading to the Long Island suburbs on the 533 met a gunman filled with hate. In a California suburb, hundreds gathered to bury a policeman, the fourth victim of one more madman on a shooting rampage.
There's terrorism here in America. We live in fear, and it's not Beirut, and it's not Mogadishu.
The body of a 10-year-old girl from the suburbs of St. Louis was found yesterday. Police say Cassidy Center could be the second victim of a serial child killer.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
In the crowded church in Petaluma last night, they were praying not just for Polly Klaas, they were praying for a nation.
Was when you took my own sweet child, my jewel, my star.
John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
Angela Halo said, stupid question. No, it's not a stupid question. But if he becomes president and wanted to end the death penalty federally, could it be ended in every state? Yes, that's what he's leaning for. This is why politicians, I tell you what, they always tell us all the time to keep an eye on our children every 2 seconds of every 2 seconds, all the time. I think we should be keeping an eye on these overpaid POSs that don't even consult us when they make life-changing decisions that affect us. Ridiculous. Good luck trying to take the death penalty away in Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama, Florida. Good luck. Because hell, they have barbecues outside of Big Mac in Oklahoma when they're getting ready to fry one up. They loved it. It's crazy. Well, I tell you what's not crazy is that we have such great friends here and that you guys kept coming back every time YouTube tried to interrupt us. I'm going to figure out a different way to do this show because we have some other things to get through. I don't know if it's because I put the People magazine thing on there, but I don't see why that would be a problem. Who knows? Who knows? But I mean, that's what it is. Does anybody want to take the link and come up before I shut down? Snazzy Trinket says, thank you, Brooks, for covering this. Often these older cases are forgotten, but so much has been learned from them. Yeah. And it's been 30 years. 30 years. And in that 30 years, so much has changed. But here's the thing. 30 years ago, they didn't have near the technology we have now. But you know what has changed in 30 years? People. Weak ass people. We see it all the time. We're witnessing it in cases right now. I don't think that the police have done their job. I think Richard Allen in Delphi is innocent. I don't think Brian Kohlberger did anything. What? Uh-oh, it's Pat. Hello, Pat.
Hey there. Hi, everyone.
How did shopping go?
Oh, it was good. I went out really early because I don't like lots of people in stores. I'm one of those people. So I just went to Shoppers Drug Mart and got lots of stocking stuffers for Christmas, you know.
What do you stuff stockings with?
Chocolates and little gifts. Like I grew up where my mom would put one candy, apples and oranges, and nuts. That's how I grew up having a stocking.
Yeah,
like that's all I had, right? And then one present from Santa. And we had a tradition in our house. I was going to actually put this on chat and see if anybody else had silly traditions, but my mom and dad would get us a paint by number set, me and my sister. And we were, yeah, and it wasn't wrapped. So when we got up at like 6 a.m, we were allowed to go get that. And we already had our TV tray set up with our water. And we were allowed to do that until my parents woke up at like 8.
I love it.
I thought that was cute. We did that every year for like at least 5-6 years. It was fun.
So are you going to do a paint by number this year, Pat?
No. But I do the bead painting, the diamond bead painting.
When did you talk to Rexy about that? Because Rexy is huge into that diamond painting.
Oh no, I haven't. But it's very fun, and certain people, like, you can either do it or you don't even want to talk about it. And I think it's people that do crossword puzzles and things like that can do it, because it's very, like, those little diamond beads are so tiny, but it's very calming for me, which sounds silly, but it is.
I love it. I love it. So sorry about the interruptions today on the show. I'll get that figured out. I have a feeling I know who the culprit is. What do you think about this case and how things have changed in the last 30 years? Obviously, DNA is a biggie.
Yeah, but I'm surprised they got the palm print. Like, they really investigated fantastic for way back then.
Well, don't say way back then, because, I graduated high school that year. Kind of makes my ass sag when you say way back.
Yeah, it was way back then. My son was already like 13 years old. I'm a 70s girl. That's what I remember the best. The best decade was the 70s.
Yeah, that's what my parents would say too. They loved the 70s. I think the car payment was like $60 a month.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So like, I don't remember all of this case, but she was found, is that correct?
Yes, December 4th of 1993. After they arrested Richard Allen Davis, took him to the jail, he confessed to kidnapping her and strangling her. And he took him out to where he had put her, and they found her. But after they did the autopsy and they knew that more had gone on than just the big M word, they added the charge of the SA. He would never admit to that, and that's what he fought. And he told that detective, he said, if I admit to that, if you charge me with that, then I'm a dead man. He goes, you're a dead man anyway. He wasn't afraid about getting the chair or lethal injection. He was worried about what the other prisoners would do when they found out about that.
Yeah. Good. I think there was probably a lot more jailhouse justice going on back then.
Uh-huh. There is now too.
Yeah, well, I don't, like, what happened to an eye for an eye? Isn't that, I mean, I don't want to get biblical because I haven't read the Bible, but I remember that saying. Well, I don't know. I'm old-fashioned, so.
Well, I think more people need to be old-fashioned, because it just kind of seems like our media tries to get people hyped up on stuff that really isn't going on, so we don't see what's really going on.
Yeah. It's sad. I'm glad, honestly, I'm glad I don't have little kids right now.
Mhm.
I would be horrified. I wouldn't let them out of my sight.
Well, I mean, and this was in 93, and JonBenet Ramsey was in 96. So it's not like these things haven't always gone on. There's been sick critters on this planet since Cain and Abel.
But doesn't it seem like there's more?
The statistics show, not that I know anything about statistics, that it's actually much less. I think we hear about it more because of social media.
I know people have said that, but I don't know.
I mean, I live in Oklahoma. So without social media, there would have been no way for me to know about Harmony Montgomery, Michael Vaughn, or Summer Wells. It would never be talked about around here.
Yeah, I know. I just can't believe there was that much going on back then. I really do think video games has desensitized teenagers.
Mhm.
The first time I saw my son playing a game and this was back in the 90s, when he was shoot like, a GUN at the screen and blood was splatting. And I was horrified. I said, that is effing sick. Get that off of your screen. Like, how could they even make games that are like that? And that was in the 90s. So what do they have now? Like, these kids are brought up with them. I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I don't. Like,
I mean, the parents buy it for them. It's easy to say sorry. I mean, I lied to my kids all the time. McDonald's is closed. Sorry, all the animals at the zoo are sick.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to go get it and they're all sold out. It was pretty easy to lie to my kids. They know now. They're like, why did you tell us that? What was it called? They always wanted to play. I can't remember what it was. Why did you always tell us it was sold out? And I'm like, well, it was sold out at my house.
Yeah, that's right. Because we're the parents and because your brain is not formed yet. You're only like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. When you're 18 and you move out, that's what I used to say, because my parents would say that. When you move out and get your own house, you can do whatever you want. So I told my son that when you move out, you can do whatever you want. Go buy every one of those sicko games you want.
Yeah. No, it was Assassin's Creed. That's what they wanted to play.
Oh.
And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I said, I looked and looked and looked. It looks like, you're going to be stuck on Mario Kart Island for a while because they're all sold out.
But didn't we love Mario? Remember when he first came on?
Oh,
I loved that little game. It was cute. It's like, the old-fashioned games. What's wrong with those?
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, and of course, as they got, to be teenagers and they could handle things like that, then they would play them. That's, that's fine.
Yeah, but not at 10. And that's what kids do. That's why there's a rating for shows. General, family. Well, why don't parents rate these games? Like, I'm sorry, I always take it back to the parents because they have a choice.
Well, and like with Richard Allen Davis, they're like, well, it's because his father was an alcoholic. Oh, I think there's something else going on there. I don't think his dad drinking Budweiser is the reason he's such a violent person. There's a little more to it.
We have to, give these people the responsibility. They have to, if they don't know something's wrong with them, then we have to be the ones to speak up because that's what a society is. We get rid of the ones that don't conform to normal society behaviors. The ones that don't fit in, like, sorry, I'm going to out you. Get out. I have this pedo living next to me. And, some people still say, well, the girl was 17. And I'm like, I don't care. He was 60. It's not like he was 18.
No,
but I watch him all the time.
And
I told all the neighbors.
It drives me nuts.
I'll phone the cops if I see him around any younger person. I'm phoning them right away. Like, he's like 70 now. Well, I'm sorry. I have to say, I do wish that he doesn't have a long life.
Well, I mean, look at Candace Hare's brother Warren. He's been institutionalized all that time. One of the first things he did when he was monitored and was put into that home for wayward offenders, as they call it, he was caught rubbing his meat the wrong way in front of a McDonald's playground.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Like, I don't know. I think we need to put more money into jails and we need to get these people off the street because I don't want them around any kids out there. Any. It's disgusting. Disgusting. I'm at a loss for words sometimes. Like I think it's people like the brother or whoever, Grandis's brother, you see right away, and it's been written time and time again that they don't get better. So why do they let them out? I'll up my taxes to keep them in jail. Like, come on.
Well, they raise our taxes for stupid shit. Why not raise them for safety and education?
That's right. I remember years ago reading about some grant that I'm in Canada, that the Canadian government gave to see why, like, birds leave in October instead of November. Like, honestly, is that going to better our world?
Fuck the birds. They can take care of themselves. They're animals.
Right. Exactly. Like, why would you give grant money for that? Okay, we want to keep our planet, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. But come on, $1 million?
Animals know how to take care of themselves. They have a lifespan just the way we do.
And they evolve to what we throw at them. And unfortunately, that has been from the beginning of time. If we build a city, yes, some will die, but the ones that evolve are the strong ones that move out to the woods. It's just what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been quite a morning, my friend.
Yeah, 3 times or twice you got struck. Now, what was that for? I think it was for the Clinton.
Probably.
But the second time, maybe it's if you start a stream up within 5 minutes. I don't know.
That's probably it, because I did it like in 30 seconds, So I'll just send a little message to YouTube in my YouTube studio and just say, what up, bitches? And then they're going to go back and look at it, and they're going to say it's either from mass reporting, so they had to shut it down to make sure nothing's going on, or you're using copyrighted material they just detected. It's really going to be okay, because we're going to, we got through it.
Yep. And we all found the second stream, so no problem.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness I know their notifications work today. So I am going to go paint my toenails and dye my hair.
Oh, yes. I did that the other day. Got the hair back and got the gray out. Well, I just want to say thank you for letting me up, and happy holidays to everyone, and Merry Christmas to those that celebrate it.
Anytime, Pat. We're actually having our Christmas members live on the 19th.
Oh, okay. I shall write that down and make sure I'm around and no one visits me.
Yeah, put a note on your door that says 9 a.m. Central to roughly 11. I have a very important job to do. No visitors.
Well, during the Murdaugh trial, when anyone called, I said, look, I can't talk. I'm in court. So they got off the phone real quick because they had no idea what was going on. Anyway, okay, nice talking to everybody.
Nice talking. Once I get done with my painting the barn, if you know what I mean, I'll be over in Discord and we can do a Discord live. So if you guys want to get that going, let me know.
All righty. Talk later. Bye-bye.
Love you, Pat. All right. Sorry about all that. Has nothing to do with anything on my end. I would blame OJ, but he has tucked himself into bed and is doing A-OK, doing just fine. Thank you again to the mods that were letting everyone know, nope, we have a new stream. Nope, we have a new stream. And thank you to all of you for being here for a case that hasn't been talked about in a very, very long time, but we can always learn, in my opinion, from what happened before. So you'll have a great rest of your Friday. I'll see you back here on Monday for Metabolism Monday. And if there's anything that you can think of that you think that we need to discuss on this show, send it over, my friends. Send it over. I'd love to discuss it with you. All right, have a great rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend.